now that my last layer of clear coat is dried, I'm going to start pouring up my stone. So the type of gypsum I use is Ultra Cal 30. And the reason I use Ultra Cal over Hydrocal is because Ultra Cal will, different batches will adhere to itself. It sticks to itself. It'll bond. And for a piece this size, I don't want to make up too much at one time because then it'll start to kick and I'll run into an issue of the stone kicking too fast and I won't be able to get it on the structure fast enough. So when we do Ultra Cal, we can do several different batches and they'll all adhere to themselves and our mold will stay strong. So whenever I'm pouring up, I'll just take, I got my water in my bucket, and I'll just take and sift the Ultra Cal into the water. And it's going to take a good bit. Because I got a decent amount of water in here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to keep sifting it in there. Really, I should put my mask on. It's because I don't want to breathe in the powder. All right. What you're going to want to do is you keep putting in the Ultra Cal until you create this bed that just rests slightly above the water. That's when you know you got your mixture on. You can look on videos, and there'll be a lot of videos out there that kind of tell you the ratio in which to do. And most people that do this will tell you just kind of go by feel. And I've gotten to where I'm starting to see my Ultra Cal sit on the top of the water. You can kind of see that. And what I'm going to take and do is I'm going to start mixing it up with my hand. And then I can feel that I don't really have a whole lot of lumps in there. So I'll get rid of that glove because I've already got it wet. And I'm just going to go in with my hand now and start doing a little bit more. I've also heard people refer to your stone bed as cracked earth. So I'm just going to take my hand in there and mix this all up.
You want to get all your lumps out. And then doing this too, it helps get air bubbles out, but we'll also tap the bucket on the ground to kind of help move that along and get them air bubbles out, because you don't want any air bubbles out because it'll weaken your structure. Alright, now I've got a soupy mixture here, and if I wanted to go a little bit thicker, all I'd have to do is add more stone or more of the gypsum, the Ultra Cal, to my water mixture, but I'm going to let this start to thicken by itself just a little bit. Remember, the colder the temperature is of your water and the area that you're working in, the longer time you'll have to work with it. The warmer the water or temperature is, the quicker that it'll actually start to kick.
Alright, now that we got it all mixed up, we've got a real liquid consistency. And what these first couple coats are referred to is your beauty coats. You're going to want to be able to get all your fine detail with these beauty coats. And I just use a chip brush is used best, because it will, they're cheap, you can throw them away once everything's done. And it helps get all that detail in. And you'll see it'll run down. And even with the matte finish, you can see how it's kind of separating. So you just got to play with it. You got to keep brushing it up and getting it on all the surfaces. And again, I'm not applying a whole lot of pressure with the brush. I'm just making sure all my undercuts and everything on the surface is getting coated as I brush it on. But make sure you get in all the nooks and crannies, all the cracks. You don't want any air bubbles, because then you'll have holes in your mold, and then they'll in turn show up once you cast it. Now with a stone mold, I could cast this in silicone, I could cast it in flex foam, but I think I'm going to cast it in latex. I'm just hoping with some of the shapes that when I do cast it in latex, they won't collapse. So I want to get that spout, and I'll get that all in here. All down my edge. Just want to cover all the surface. All the surface area. I want to get it in these holes for my keys. And I just keep going back to the bucket. And getting more gypsum. Make sure you dab your brush in those holes. You can even use your finger. Because what you want, or what you don't want to do, is create a pocket in there. Because then it'll break. So, I just get my finger, and just make sure that all of it goes inside and covers. And you can already see where the stone is starting to dry. Again, I want to make sure I don't create any pockets inside those. But I also don't want to take what I've already applied off. So just go in there, put a little bit of pressure. Make sure I'm not creating any air bubbles. And as I'm going, my stone will start to kick and become thicker. And we'll work with that as we go through the layers. As you can see, it's still a liquidy, very much liquid. See, we're going to go in. We don't want to take any of the stone that we've already taken off or put on. We don't want to strip that off. And in these gaps and spaces, I just tend to kind of blotch, because I want to make sure I'm not creating any air bubbles or air pockets that will later ruin my stone. And I'm just going to continue to work it. Making sure I'm covering everything. Alright, I'll put on another couple coats, thin coats. And as I let that dry a little bit, what I want to do is I want to go in to my bucket, and at the very bottom, it's already starting to kick, and I don't want it to get thick right yet. I want it to thicken up, but I don't want it to start fully kicking just yet. So I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to go in, and I'm going to stir it up a little more. That way, part of my bucket doesn't kick while the top part. Because I do have a good bit of stone in here, and I plan on using it for the whole back side. So, just going to go ahead, take those gloves off. And now, I'm just going to go through and start adding more layers. I just want to keep going back to the bucket and globbing it on. So that way I don't take off any layers I've already put on. And it will continue to harden or thicken as it begins to kick. Now that I've got those several layers done, I'm going to ditch the chip brush, and then I'll begin to work with the plaster with my hands, laying on the thicker layers, putting in the burlap, and thickening up the mold. Alright, what I began to do after I finished up my back mold, I've been carefully prying up my clay walls, being careful not to mess up my sculpt. And you find that you're having trouble clearing all the clay out, you can take a wooden tool such as this and just kind of go up against the edge of your stone, because you don't want to take a metal tool, because you will scratch the stone. So I'm just going in and I'm prying the clay loose. And you might have to go in where you pressed it to your sculpt and clean up some areas. I don't have a whole lot. I might have some more up in this area where these folds are, but and any bit of clay that's still soft, because your clay will get soft again once the stone kicks, it heats up, it creates chemical reaction. And as it begins to cure, it heats up and it will soften those clay walls. And even the clay that's on your sculpture. That's why you always want to be careful when cleaning up. And as you see, I also removed this retaining wall down here. And any clay that you have that has stone that's in it, you just throw it away. Unless you want to dig that stone out of there. And I'm just going to take, and it works if you have it works better if you have a smaller hammer. But I'm just going to tap this edge around here, clean that edge up, because the stone can actually be very sharp and you don't want to cut your hands. So I'm going to clean my edges up. And I'm just tapping gently so I don't break the stone. Next, we'll be repeating the same process for the front part.